Howdy all. Working in my somewhat messy shop today. Just going to do a little project on going over one of these engines. This is a 12-horse Hercules hit and miss engine. I'm going to go over it a little bit, see what makes it a hit and miss. Kind of a common misconception is that when somebody sees an engine like this with flywheels, oh, that's a hit and miss engine. Technically, it's not so. So we're going to go over it a little bit, show you what makes that, the difference between the two. Basically, these are 4-cycle, spark-fired gas engines, whether it have a magneto, a buzz coil, or whatever. So we'll just kind of go through this from head to tail, and hopefully it can explain a little bit more about these and how they work. And hopefully we'll get it started up here at the end and see how it goes. So let's get at it. Okay, we'll just start right up here at the front. You'll notice a lot of these engines, you'll have a rocker arm on one valve and nothing on the other. And how that works is this is your exhaust rocker and a push rod that comes from the cam back here. We'll see that a little bit here. These mostly rely on when the piston comes back on its intake stroke, it sucks this valve open, and that sucks the air and gas mixture up through this apparatus I have here. This was off of a different style engine, but it works for this. This originally would have been running on gasoline. There is a tank down in this base similar to this, only much larger. This tube is what's down there, and what it came up to, this carburetor or mixer they call these, was the actual one off of that. So it just sucks up through there and atomizes enough to make it run. Not real efficient, but that was the technology then. And then you have, because you have 2 separate ports on your head, your intake comes up, and this is into your exhaust and cylinder there for your exhaust release. This particular, this is they call this a demand regulator when you're running on propane. Works really nice on these because it doesn't pass propane until it gets a vacuum from the piston coming back, so it's fairly efficient. This is a Webster. They call these a tripolar mag. This bracket here, this housing, has a set of contacts in it, little points. When this mag trips, it breaks those open and it sparks. Some of these brackets will have a spark plug and a different style mag. I may have a couple around here that we can show you that. But this up here, this is your square. That's where the water goes to keep these cool with the water hopper. This oiler has a pipe going down through to oil your cylinder. And it also, you'll see that little hole right there. The oil will go down in, and there's a tube that goes down and oils the wrist pin. It's probably going to be hard to see that, but inside the hopper, your water goes down the whole way around the cylinder, and there's the tube, the pipe fittings that go down there to seal the oil in. Let's see if we can get back here and see the tube. Yeah, you can just barely see it at the top. It goes back, and you see on the top of the connecting rod that little square boss that holds the oil and goes down through and oils the wrist pin. So on back here we have the governor assembly, and this is kind of where the hit and miss comes into play. Normally these engines are going to fire every stroke or every cycle. A hit and miss will lock the exhaust out and just freewheel when there's no load on it. And how that works is these flyweights, faster they go, centrifugal force pulls these out, and you see this rod or flat bar, it comes out, and then it will lock behind this square tab. You can see it, it's not out yet. When it pushes the exhaust up, it'll come past this, and if it's fast enough, this will go in and hold this in place. And when it slows down enough and the camshaft comes up on that stroke again, on here, and your lever, it'll push that forward, that flat bar will come out, and complete the cycle. Mostly, this one, it only takes one time of firing for it to get it going fast enough that it'll lock out again. These are what they call grease caps. Sometimes you'll have oilers, sometimes it's grease. These come in many different sizes, but here's a little one here. Basically, you fill this cap up with grease and then screw it onto this, and as you screw it down, it just pushes the grease out through this hole down into the port for whatever it's greasing. So that's a little bit of how one of these works. There's let me go over here on the other side. There's a what they call throttle governed. That's the other style engine. This is a Fairbanks Z 6-horse. Basically the same design though. You'll have a exhaust rocker and your intake, but this has on it basically a carburetor, the throttle body, and you have a rod coming here. There's a butterfly plate in there, basically just like a carburetor. This has a little different setup, but you can see the flyweights back in here, and this has a gear drive mag that has a spark plug right in the head, no other brackets. So that's kind of the difference between the two different styles. So let's go back over here, and I think we're probably ready to maybe give this a whirl and see if she's going to fire or not. I have these things have a spring inside this housing where the flyweights are that puts pressure on them. And I'm one of the guys that always likes to run these as slow as possible, so I put a very light spring in there, so it has to slow down quite a bit before that spring loses enough pressure off the flyweights to let that engage again. You'll probably be able to see that once it's running. I'll show you that. So what's going to happen here, this mag has a trip bar on it. So I'm going to run these flywheels through. You may hear the mag snap. I'm going to hold the intake valve open so it doesn't build compression. And you hear the mag snap, that'll be the next stroke is your power stroke. So I'm going to run it through the power and the exhaust to get it back on the intake, because you really only need one time of running it through for this to fire, hopefully. So let me get started on that and hopefully make some smoke. Well, not smoke, but a little fire anyhow. Turn it over, it's about, there's the mag snap, so this would be on the power stroke. coming up on exhaust. So now we're ready for intake. So we're gonna back start these. You roll it back opposite, or actually in the way of rotation. You kick it back, and then you snap this mag, and it should fire in the direction it's supposed to. So let's see what happens. Okay, it did fire, but I have to adjust the fuel a little bit here. You run her through one more time. Okay, try that again. Okay, not liking that. Sometimes you got to run these through a little bit. Get the bugs out of them. I haven't had this run for about a year. Give her another shot here. Okay, I think this usually it'll act up. If it hits and fires once more on its own, it will usually stay running. We'll see what happens here again. Good deal. Okay, so you can see through the flywheels here. It's about ready to go again. It's locked out on that tab. Fired. So your mag trip and your exhaust valve all run off this square push rod, and it locks everything out when it's like that. So we'll watch the mag here. When it fires the next time, it'll let that mag trip go back and fire. Good deal. I went to get this thing out, had to move a bunch of stuff. If you hadn't seen anything while I was walking around here, pretty messy. But let me just shut this down here. I'm just gonna shut the propane off. Let it shut down. Probably fire one more time. Boiler off. Okay, well, that's a hit and miss engine, basically how they run. Hope I explained it good enough that everybody can understand it. These pretty simple designs, the Hercules anyhow. Hercules made this, economy and Jagger engines. Economies were a big seller for Sears and Roebuck, and but you go to shows all over the place and you think you've seen them all, and then something shows up that you've never seen before. Made a little different, but all really cool. But I got all kinds of engines stashed away here and there, so this is probably about the biggest hit and miss engine I have. I do have I have a 15 horse Olin oil-filled engine that is basically hit and miss. I'd like to get in here and work on it, but I got a lot of smaller ones, got a lot of other oil-filled engines, a couple big old diesel engines, a Cummins diesel gen set, the big old cast iron grill. So if you like this kind of stuff, appreciate you subscribing, sharing, and stay tuned, see what I drag in here next. Catch y'all later.